Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today. And today, the Minnesota Timberwolves have beat the Golden State Warriors 121-110. Tough loss to this Warriors team. Tough four straight losses for this Warriors team. Minnesota played great tonight. Julius Randle, incredible yet again with 29 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Edwards had a I wouldn't say an off-shoot night, just didn't shoot the ball that much tonight. 8 for 15, 5 for 9 from 3, which is one of the this was in a 5-game series. This is the one of the fewest field goal attempts Edwards has had in all of this series. He shot really well though, 5 for 9 from 3, 8 for 15 from the floor. He had 22 points though, but here's where he was really good tonight. Was 12 assists, 7 rebounds, was 3 rebounds away from a triple-double. Mike Conley shot the ball really well, shooting 4 for 6 from 3. And this team shot really well from 3 tonight, shooting 42%, 13 for 31 from 3. They played great tonight. Mainly Randle and Edwards, but Conley was great, 8 assists and 6 rebounds with his 4 threes. Gobert was great with 17 and 8. So was McDaniels with 14. DiVincenzo had 13, former Warrior. Great closeout win for this Minnesota Timberwolves team. Their first closeout win at home since 2004. Last year, their 2 closeout wins they had. They swept Phoenix. That was in Phoenix. They beat Denver in Game 7. That was in Denver. Their last closeout win was in 2004. It's crazy. But, this Warriors team, it's tough losing Steph these last 4 games. I refuse to say that the Warriors would have won this series if Stephen Curry played. I think it brings in a whole other dynamic into it. Like, we don't know what would have happened, but I think you can look at, Steph Curry dominated the Wolves in that first 13 minutes. We don't know how the rest of the series would have played out, even with Steph. I think the Warriors would have been a lot better. They would have not lost in 5 games. The Warriors probably, to me, would have lost in 7 games, I think. But the reason why I think that Game 1 doesn't take, like, you can't look at that Game 1 with the way Minnesota played and look at it and say to yourself, oh yeah, they would have played like that offensively the rest of the series if Steph was out there. Because they wouldn't. Steph would have made a better impact for the Golden State Warriors offensively. But here's the thing I look at is how poorly Minnesota shot from 3 in that first game. Did not make a 3 until almost midway third quarter. They shot, I don't even think, 20% from 3. And in the regular season, they were one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the NBA. They were top 4 and top 3 in 3-point percentage. That was very unlike them. So you knew Minnesota was going to catch 5 from 3. They shot well from 3 tonight, 42%. They shot well in all of their wins. They really shot well from 3 in all of their wins in this series. So they killed it from 3 after that Game 1 loss, and I think that is a big thing you need to look at when you look at how Minnesota played in this series. I don't think there's much of anything Steph would have been able to do with Randle and Gobert dominating them with size, with the way McDaniels dominated them in rebounding in this series. He only had 4 rebounds tonight, but had 13 in the last game, killed it with rebounding all series. This Minnesota team did a hell of a job. I think the only thing Golden State really killed them in the rebound-wise was offensive rebounding. The Warriors tonight and in this series did a great job with offensive rebounding. 18 offensive rebounds tonight. But, you compare to the defensive rebounds, Minnesota had 33 and you had Golden State getting 22. So, there's a huge size issue right there. And also, another thing I look at is how poorly Anthony Edwards played in Game 1. And look how better he was in all the other 4 games of this series. So, there's too many what-ifs you look at in this series to say, oh yeah, this would have happened, that would have happened. The Warriors would have had a better shot in this series if Stephen Curry played, but I don't think it changes the series outcome. I think it changes how the series ended up. I think this series is a 7-game series, a 6-game series at the best. At the worst for the Golden State, it's them losing in 6 games. Warriors would have never lost 4 straight games without Stephen Curry. If there's anyone out there that thinks that, you are delusional. But Minnesota, to me, would have won this series at least in 7 games. I would say could have won this series in 6 games with Curry being out there, but I think in all likelihood they would have won this series in 7 games. And here's the other thing I want to point out. Yeah, I'll give this to the Warriors. They might have been able to win this series without Steph. Oh, sorry. They might have been able to get this series if Steph was out there. But I'm going to tell you the one thing that would happen if Stephen Curry stayed healthy in this series and they moved on the Western Conference Finals. I'm just going to say this. We all know the Thunder are going to win tomorrow night. And if they don't, they'll win in Game 7. And the Thunder are going to go to the Conference Finals. In all likelihood, I think they'll probably go to the NBA Finals too. And probably win it all. That's how I feel about the Oklahoma City Thunder right now. In all likelihood, the Golden State Warriors get to the Conference Finals with Stephen Curry. If he stays healthy in this series. Just to me, the Golden State Warriors would have been cooked. The Warriors don't have any size. Their center is 6'5", Draymond Green. The Thunder have 2 7-foot big men in their starting lineup with Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren. They've got the MVP in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I'm saying this as someone who doesn't really like the Thunder, and really wants to see this Thunder team get put down. I think the Thunder would have cooked Golden State, and Curry probably would have fought as hard as he could. Same thing with Jimmy, in order to try to get this Warriors team over the top to the NBA Finals. And maybe they could get 2 games. Maybe they can get 3. I don't know. But OKC would have got the job done against Golden State. I don't know what kind of trouble Minnesota will give them. Might be more than what Golden State would have given OKC, because I'll tell you, Minnesota has something Golden State does, and that's size. You've got Naz Reid, you've got Gobert, you've got McDaniels, you've got Randle. You need size, and if you're going to go up against the Oklahoma City Thunder, with what they've got with Chet, Hartenstein, Jalen Williams. I'm talking about the Jalen Williams that comes off the bench, not J-Dub, but you could add J-Dub to that list of players who have great size as well. Minnesota, I think, would have had a better shot against OKC than Golden State. Do I think Minnesota wins the series? Probably not. I'd like to see Minnesota win the series against OKC. I just don't think they will. I think, but it won't take Minnesota. It won't take Minnesota much to do better in the conference finals this year, as compared to last year, because they were last year. They were down 3-0, lost in 5 games. Really, got killed in the conference finals. So it won't take much this year, I believe, for them to do better. I think, you lose if you lose in 6 games, it's much better than last year. They got killed last year by Dallas, but yeah, and honestly, we can go back. It's been years. The last time you saw a conference finals go to Game 7 was with this Golden State Warriors squad against the Houston Rockets in the 2017-18 season. It's been that long since we've seen a Game 7 in the conference finals in the Western Conference. So, yeah. But for this Warriors team tonight, Jonathan Kuminga was great. He had 26 points. We've got a big decision with him in the offseason. Brandon Podziemski, 28 points. He was great. But it was the first time in this series he could have used that a couple games ago. Here's the bad thing about Brandon Podziemski playing good. Buddy Hield doesn't. And I think that's not a huge surprise. Podziemski's going to play great. Kuminga's going to play great. Hield might not play very good. You saw 8 points for Buddy Hield, 2 for 9 shooting. Jimmy Butler, I'm disappointed in him, man. 4 for 11, 17 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Jimmy Butler was not aggressive. Too many passes from Jimmy Butler in this game tonight. Jimmy, in Game 3 of this series, Jimmy Butler took 26 shot attempts. If you look at the 4 straight losses that are, I'm just gonna look at the last. We're just gonna look at the last 3 losses for this Warriors team, for them. You look at Game 3, Jimmy Butler shot 26 shot attempts. Last game, 13 shot attempts. Tonight, 11 shot attempts. This Warriors team, their closest game was when Jimmy was more aggressive. Game 3 was the closest game when Jimmy was being aggressive, took 26 shot attempts, scored 33 points. Last 2 games, these games have not been as close. The Warriors have been down in the 20s. This game, even though they lost by 11 points, we're down by 23 nearing the fourth quarter. We're down 21 at the end of the fourth quarter. They got killed because one of the reasons why I believe is because Jimmy Butler was not as aggressive, and I know you maybe didn't need to be as aggressive tonight with the way Podziemski and Kuminga played, but there were too many shots I think he passed up tonight. So that is a problem. But he was great defensively, 3 steals, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. 4 for 11 from the floor, 9 for 11 from the free throw line. I just thought Jimmy Butler tonight should have been more aggressive taking shots tonight, and he wasn't. And that's a finger I point to with Jimmy Butler. Draymond Green, 10 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. He was okay, 4 for 11, 1 for 6 from 3. I wouldn't really look at him and blame him for this loss. I honestly, the one guy I would blame is Jimmy Butler and Buddy Hield. But outside of that, maybe blame Stephen Curry being injured. But you can't do that. You can't play. Look, and I hate to go this way, but the Golden State, look how many championships the Golden State Warriors have won because of bad injuries. You look at Chris Paul in game 5 of the Western Conference Finals. The Warriors' first championship, the Cavs were so injured, had lost Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving. We can continue to go with some of these injured teams the Warriors have taken advantage of in the past. I'm not saying this is karma for the Warriors. It happens too many times in basketball. And there'd be if you did this all the time, there'd be too many what ifs. And so, but for the Warriors, the next thing you go to is working on what happens next season for their team. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section and peace out.